Hey guys, this is Brian Mounts. I run the Turf Mechanic channel, the Turf Mechanic brand. Today I'd like to talk about eradicating Bermudagrass out of a cool season lawn. What you see behind me is a Kentucky Bluegrass lawn. We could be talking about perennial rye. We could be talking about tall fescue. Those are the big three. And especially if you live in the transition zone, kind of that lateral line across the U.S. where you're like, we get snow in the winter, but we're also at 100 degrees in the summer. Those areas are notoriously difficult to keep monostands of just cool season lawn grasses without Bermudagrass invading. Bermudagrass is the main culprit because it is so invasive. Common Bermudagrass puts up seed heads. They float in the wind. Stolons can reroot down. So if you have lawn companies that are traveling from house to house to house, they could be spreading seed, they could be spreading stolons. And no matter how nice of a lawn you keep, and no matter how much you stay on top of lawn care, you always seem to be fighting Bermudagrass. Now, here in this lawn, my neighbor next to me has a lot of Bermudagrass and kikuyu grass in it. I've got neighbors across the street also with Bermudagrass and kikuyu grass. Both of these are invasive. And a year and a half ago, that lawn, what I'm talking about right here in my own yard, that used to be Bermuda and kikuyu, a mixture. About a year ago, I killed everything off and I transitioned it to a cool season lawn. I knew for a fact that the Bermudagrass was going to start coming back. And I really kind of assumed the kikuyu was as well. And sure enough, it is. As I'm recording this, it's late August. We've been going through the summer months. That's the time of year that these warm season grasses want to thrive, want to really, really grow gangbusters. It's also the time of year that a grass like Kentucky Bluegrass doesn't. It wants to slow down. 3 months ago, I could already see, we're talking back in April and May, could already see the Bermudagrass starting to grow. And I started experimenting with some ways to kill it off. It didn't work. And the reason for that is because I was applying an herbicide to the grass that is tolerable by tall fescue, but not by Kentucky Bluegrass. I used two herbicides. One of them was Fusilade, and the other one was Triclopyr. When combined, used at a very low rate, Kentucky Bluegrass can tolerate it, but it's way too light of a dose to have any noticeable effect on the Bermudagrass over the long term. It's just going to keep coming back. Now, applied at a high rate, it kills that Bermudagrass very quickly. However, it's not going to ultimately kill all of it off in one application. It's one of those things where you have to do it once every month or so for the entire summer growing season. Think like 3-4 applications sequentially over the course of the summer. Unfortunately, when using high rates, it's also going to kill off the Kentucky Bluegrass. But if you did have a turf type tall fescue, go for it. That's how you do it. Here in a Kentucky Bluegrass lawn, we got to use something crazy. The most expensive herbicide I have ever personally purchased. All said and done, after paying for the product and tax on it, I spent more than $400. Mind-boggling. But I run this channel and I want to demonstrate how to do this sort of stuff. So I'm taking one financially for the team. 7 days ago, I went and applied Pylex to just that lawn space right there. It's approximately 300 square feet. And notice this little white spot right there? That's a spot where there's no Kentucky Bluegrass growing, only Bermuda. And it's white because the Pylex is bleaching it out. Now, if we get up closer, you'll see that all of the Bermudagrass is really starting to get pale. You just can't see it quite as well in the rest of the lawn because there's actually bluegrass there, making it all look green. Now, I got my mower out. I'm filming this video right now because I want to mow this. I actually went roughly 5 days before I applied the Pylex to this lawn where I didn't mow it, and I have since not mowed it for the past 7. So we're talking, it's been almost 2 weeks since this grass has been mowed. So it looks really rough, really scraggly. And as we get in close, we can see Bermudagrass that's starting to get pale. Here you can see it hanging over the edge of the driveway. It's looking very pale right next to much more vibrant Kentucky Bluegrass. Now over here, we're just dry. This is dried out, summer dormant Kentucky Bluegrass. That's going to come back in the fall. But the Bermuda, look at this, turning white. You can kind of see this little white haze all over the lawn space. This is slowly dying Bermuda. Now this right here, this is a little piece of crabgrass. Notice that this still looks pretty healthy. This was sprayed just like that does. So if you're going to be spending this crazy amount of money on Pylex, don't expect it to kill off all of the weeds. Here, we got another little fluffy weed system. That doesn't look like it's getting beat up very much either. Here's a bit of nutsedge. That looks perfectly fine. A little dirty, but fine. But right next to it, the Bermuda is fading. Fading quickly at this point. Here's a bit of faded crabgrass. It's possible that this might die if it was sprayed a couple times. Other weeds that seem to be tolerating the Pylex just fine. Here's some kikuyu grass. And this one is fading out too. I just plucked it. But that's starting to get fairly pale as well. I believe the Pylex is going to be a good option for cool season lawn owners to get rid of these warm season grasses. Now granted, the bottle of Pylex, like I said, I spent roughly $400 to buy the bottle and pay tax to get it. But for a full gallon of solution, I put in literally 1 milliliter into the solution. So we're talking, this is crazy potent stuff. So this one tiny little bottle should last for a very long time. Hopefully long enough to completely eradicate the Bermuda. You can see Bermuda seed heads floating right over the top of my Kentucky Bluegrass lawn. All right, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and mow the grass right now because I'm tired of it looking all gangly. I'm going to fluff up a lot of those Bermuda stolons with a rake, cut it again, try to get as much of that Bermuda off, give it a lot of water because I haven't watered it in 10 days at this point. I want to start pushing the Kentucky Bluegrass to take over the lawn. And then, according to the label of Pylex, that's after about a month, I'm going to go ahead and reapply another application of Pylex again, hammering that Bermudagrass until it's essentially gone, or we have reached the end of the Bermudagrass growing season. There we go. Did a mow, kind of like went over it 3 different times, and I raked it heavily in between. Pulled up a lot of stolons. A lot of the stolons are still, of course, there, but they lay down. So I'm going to come back over the next week, probably every single day for the next week. I'm going to rake and mow, rake and mow. And I might even drop the height of cut all the way to the bottom of my rotary mower, just so that I can cut off as many of these stolons as I possibly can. That also will give me the opportunity to run a dethatcher over this, basically power rake, scarify, and get a lot of this dead brown out of the lawn. This is the end of the summer season, so all this bluegrass is going to really start taking off as fall sets in. If I get rid of all of this brown, this entire lawn is going to be looking its very best. And it won't take too much longer. All right, I just scalped my Kentucky Bluegrass down to roughly 1 inch from probably about 2 inches earlier today. And from about 10 days ago, I was probably about 2.5 inches. I'm going to go ahead and put this product down on the lawn. So I scalped it and I pulled up a whole bunch of Bermuda stolons, the stolons that are turning white, the stuff that I've killed off. It's whitening, it's slowly dying. I'll probably have to apply, look at this plane. I'll probably have to apply Pylex one more time at least to get a really good control over the Bermuda in this lawn. But I pulled up a whole ton of stolons, and now I'll be able to see any new growth coming out of that Bermuda. But I do want to fertilize the Kentucky Bluegrass because we're pushing into fall. I want to make sure that Kentucky Bluegrass takes over this lawn space, like seriously, like really densely takes over. So this bottle right here, if you look really closely, it is 32 ounces. So that would be 2 pounds. 16% of that is 0.32 pounds of nitrogen. Now this lawn space right here is only about 300 square feet. So I'm going to round and call it a third. So if I'm looking at 0.32 pounds of nitrogen, instead of putting that on 1,000 square feet, I'm going to do it on 300. So 0.32 becomes almost 1 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square foot equivalent. I'm going to put the entire bottle right here on this lawn space. I don't normally do gigantic nitrogen pushes, but when I do, there's a reason. So right now I'm scalping the Kentucky Bluegrass down, killing the Bermuda out of it. In the coming week, roughly about 7 days from now, I'm going to be I'm going to be running a power rake over this to pull out as much of the dead material as I possibly can and pick up any random Bermudagrass stolons off of the soil surface that I can't find otherwise. When you're pushing a power rake or a dethatcher, depending on the term that you like to use, you want your desirable grass to be healthy. I've watered this a couple times over the past 3 days. I'm going to water it again tonight after I apply this. So that's going to be 3 standard watering sessions within about 4 days. With the fertilizer, this grass is going to start growing pretty quickly. After about 7 to 10 days, I'm going to start bringing the height of cut back up closer to that 1.5 inch range. And I will consider taking it up to 2 inch. I don't want to take it up too high because I expect some of the Bermudagrass, undesirable Bermudagrass, to start growing again. And I need the Kentucky Bluegrass to be short so that when I spray it, it actually goes onto the Bermuda. Because if it doesn't actually touch the Bermuda, then the Bermuda won't die. All right, here we are on day 15. This is September 3rd, the day after Labor Day. And although it doesn't look it in this light, the grass is slightly taller now. We're at about 1.3 inches, and I'm getting ready to power rake. The reason that I'm power raking is because I want to pull up all of this brown, dead stuff from the Kentucky Bluegrass that has been relatively somewhat dormant over the summer. The power raking is also going to help pick up as many of the remaining Bermudagrass stolons off of the ground. Stuff that I haven't been able to pick up over the past 7 days or so. Look at that one right there. Look at that. Power raking finds these things under the ground. Gonna pull it up so that I can get rid of it. Because I'm not ready to apply Pylex again. This is only day 15. I'm gonna wait till at least day 21 before I apply Pylex for the second time. Now I pulled up an awful lot of the stolons, the dead stolons here from the Bermudagrass. There's still certainly some here. I don't want to rip the ground to shreds, but pull up a lot of them. But what I've been happy to see is that the Pylex is slowly killing off the crabgrass that's over here too. So on day 6, I wasn't sure if it was going to happen, but this chunk of crabgrass right here, this is pretty much gone. Now, I'm just going to pull it up because I can. Crabgrass is always a shallow rooter, so if you only got a little bit of it, well, I didn't get the whole thing. But anyway, it's dying in there. Back on day 6, I wasn't sure if it was actually going to kill off that crabgrass. It obviously was doing its job. Now, I could find a handful of other crabgrass chunks in here to show it off. But right now, I scalped everything down that it's actually kind of hard to find them. Oh, there's another stolen. Yep. Power rake will do that. Get a lot of that up. So anyway, here's my power rake. These days I use the Von House power rake. They call it a dethatcher. I like to call it a dethatcher or a scarifier. This is the rake attachment on the bottom. When you buy it, it comes with one of these, and then it comes with one with a hard tine, which I call a scarifier. It's kind of like a knife that cuts into the ground. For raking purposes, I use a flexible tine, and so I'm just going to run over it and pull up as much of the dead brown stuff as I can, as many of the stolons, and bag it all with my mower. Yeah. The difference between the Edison people and the road people and the crane. You don't have electricity?
Nope.
Oh.
I bet you don't either.
Oh, we do.
Oh, do you? Oh, yes, you do.
Whole home battery backup, baby.
Well, I am not doing that to this house.
I've been getting notifications in the middle of the night that the power goes out. And I look at my wife and I'm like, oh, not for us. All right, today is day 22. It's September 10th. I haven't cut the grass here in 3 days, but prior to that, I was cutting it every single day most of the time. Like, I skipped a couple of them, but most of the time I was cutting it every single day low. Over the past weekend, we touched upper 90s, like 98, 99. I didn't want to cut it, and now the grass has grown up enough that I've actually got a bit of nutsedge growing. Pylex is obviously not doing anything whatsoever to the nutsedge. So let me show you the lawn space. The Bermuda is enormously muted at this point. Same thing with the kikuyu. At this point, there's a little bit growing, so I am going to do a second application, just as I anticipated earlier in this video, in this project. But into the tank, I'm going to add a little bit of halosulfuron, a little bit of Empro. It's basically the generic sedge hammer to get rid of the sedges, in addition to the warm season grasses out of this cool season lawn. Let's take a look really close. All right, here you go. Everything over here on the side, it's looking thin, but it is looking a little bit nicer than it was 3 weeks ago. I'm going to attribute that to the fact that I've been watering it a little bit more now that we're pushing closer to fall, and that I fertilized it. However, if we get in close, we can still see that this is a little bit of Bermudagrass right here on the edges. This right here is a little bit of Bermudagrass. Hasn't quite died off. If we move this way, there's a little lizard trying to hide over there. But if we move this direction, a lot of the crabgrass that I did see here is gone. Like, it's just gone. This right here is a little bit of, I think that's Bermudagrass. It actually might be kikuyu. I'm not sure, but it's still bleached out and hasn't died off. So chances are good that that's going to continue growing if I don't do it again. Here's some more stoloniferous growth from Bermudagrass. Oops, I just plucked it. I didn't actually mean to do that. So anyway, there's a little bit of warm season grass in there. It's probably Bermuda. We still have a few broadleaf weeds in here. These things are significantly less dense than they were 3 weeks ago. Here is a stolon that's fully dead. It's an old Bermudagrass stolon, but here we go. This is a good example. Here's a bit of nutsedge, and as we go that way, there's a lot of nutsedge over there. Sedges, more nutsedge. Here's some Bermuda. Look at this, Bermuda's coming back. This is why I need to do another application of the Pylex. Get rid of as much of the Bermudagrass and the kikuyu grass as I possibly can during the summer. Like, we're at the very end of summer, but it is literally still summer. This stuff is still growing. It's still wanting to grow. I got to get rid of it. Sedges. It's a brand new sedge right there. We've got sedges coming up here this time of year, especially now that I've been watering this lawn space a little bit more frequently. I've got a lot of sedges starting to pop up again. Way less than I had last year. So I'm making a lot of progress on killing off the nutsedge in this side yard. So in my tank over there, boom, there it is. In my tank over there, I've got Pylex, and then I just added in a little bit of halosulfuron, which is going to kill off the nutsedge that I have existing in this lawn. I'm going to go ahead and spray it one more time. I'm going to give it a couple more days, and then I'm going to finally start cutting it back down to size. So like I said, I haven't cut it in a few days, about 3. So after 2 more, Then I'm going to start cutting it to its ultimate length for the rest of the fall. If you do have a cool season grass and you are considering putting down Pylex to kill off the warm season grasses like Bermuda out of it, here in Southern California, it's Bermuda and Kikuyu, then you really got to stay on that 3 to 4 week incremental application and do it 2 or 3, possibly even 4 times in a row throughout the course of the fall. Pylex, although it is expensive and nobody under the sun wants to spend that much money, is the only real way to effectively kill off Bermudagrass and other warm season grasses like Kikuyu out of a cool season lawn. It's just the only effective way to do it. I'm going to link to Pylex down in the description below. I'm going to have some supporting documentation down in the description. So even if you're not sure if you want to buy it, take a look at that supporting material down there. It should teach you a little bit more about why this product works and some of the less optimal alternative options to kill off this Bermuda grass out of the lawn. I have done some other things that require completely zero herbicides whatsoever, but they are not reasonably done for an entire lawn space. It's just too hard to do it for an entire lawn space. Maybe spot repair. You can pull plugs of Bermuda out of the lawn, bake them, and stick them back in the lawn, and it's completely gone. But we're talking tiny little areas as opposed to entire lawns. For those of you with Kentucky Bluegrass here in the lawn, Izzy, hi. Say hi. What are you doing out here?
I was just asking what I was going to eat for dinner.
What's for dinner? What's for dinner? That's probably going to be some food.
Or leftover pizza.
Well, we do have some leftover pizza, yeah. But also food, other food. So those of you who do have Kentucky Bluegrass and you're trying to get it to spread, fill out, and dominate an entire area, we've got a video right up here in the corner about how fast it spreads. Will spread. It is self-repairing. It will take over an area, but it probably takes a little bit longer than you think. Watch that video to learn a little bit more.